My wife claimed cheating was self-growth, so I gave her the divorce of a lifetime in public. I had just returned home from work on a Friday and was looking forward to drinking a beer and beginning my weekend celebrations with my wife. However, the beer was there for me, but my wife was seated at the kitchen table. She had beaten me home. I could tell right away that she had seen something she disliked. "Honey, we need to discuss," she said. "Before we get into the meat of things, I should probably tell you about myself and my wife. My name is Tim Garner. There is no relation to the former Supreme Court Justice. I am 28 years old, work in IT consulting, and hold a master's degree in computer science. I'm 5 feet 11 inches tall, weigh approximately 205 pounds, and have brown hair and eyes. I work out at the gym every day and run 5 miles in the morning, so I'd say I'm in fairly good shape. I've been told I look good. My wife's name is Mary Ann, but she goes by Liz. She's 2 years younger than me and has a curvaceous, athletic body. She works out at the gym many times each week, has blue eyes, blonde hair, and toned legs. She has a small waist and a good figure overall, and she's adorable. We met at a college party. She was then known as Mary Ann Masters, and was in the midst of earning her bachelor's degree in accounting. I had begun my graduate studies the year prior. We hit it off and dated for the rest of college. We were married roughly a year after graduation. She did, however, have a propensity to not think things through completely, especially when she was enthusiastic about something. For example, she was adamantly opposed to taking my last name when we married. Instead, she went with Scott Pruitt or Rodham Clinton-style double-barreled last names, combining ours. I wanted to talk to her about it more than once, and voice my concerns, but every time I tried, she reacted defensively, calling me a sexist or accusing me of attempting to steal her identity. She would give examples of other girls who did the same thing when they married and had no problems. She knew friends who had done it. She even called me out for breaking free from male norms, stating that when women marry, they are obliged to take men's last names, which is oppressive. I attempted to express my point of view. I informed her that I wasn't attempting to control her. I was simply trying to avoid future complications. I finally got fed up and told her to sit down and write it down 5 times on a piece of paper before reading it aloud. Then I assured her that if she still wanted to use that name, there would be no more arguments against it. "Liz Carter Garner," she wrote. She quickly changed her mind and took my last name. Have I already said that she has naturally blonde hair? So, we were about 5 years into our marriage. We hadn't started a family yet, but we planned to in the near future. We had talked about trying to get pregnant and agreed to start on our 5th anniversary, which is just over 2 months away. She had problems with birth control pills, so we always used condoms. We planned to try without them on our 5th anniversary. I could not wait. That's how it all began. I was drinking a beer when my wife said 5 words that irritated me. "I just want to travel before we have a baby," she continued. "It's critical for me to complete this before I settle down and establish a family." Liz attempted to explain. "So wait, you mean you want to see other men, date them, and meet new people while still being my wife? Do you think I should be cool with that? Are you crazy?" I asked aloud. "Listen, this is only for a month. I just need some more time to myself. Then we may celebrate our special 5-year anniversary as planned. After this final amount of independence, I will be ready to totally commit and be your devoted, loyal wife for life," she said. "Hell no," I replied. "Okay, Timothy, a wise decision. I'm going ahead with it. I don't need your permission, but I'd like to be open with you." "Seriously, how is interacting with other men not cheating?" I asked. "It is not cheating if the relationship is not monogamous and is openly consensual. Cheating is dishonesty and deception, not an explicit agreement ahead of time. That is why I'm informing you about it now, my love. Furthermore, it will not occur every night, maybe just on Friday or Saturday nights. I'll be home in the morning. You can still expect me to be here most of the week, and I'll make sure to get a decent night's sleep before returning home from work so I am not weary or irritable. I'm very sure I won't be available to pick you up after your first date. Why would you assume that anyway? Where did you get the idea?" I was very certain I knew where that originated from, but I asked anyhow. "Yeah, I've been talking with Nora about when we should start trying to have children," Liz replied. "Nora, of course. You mean your coworker who has been divorced 4 times? She cheated on all 4 of her husbands." "Are you actually considering marriage counseling from her?" I asked. She stated that if we had children, she believed it was vital to clear the air and achieve closure so that I could relax and be the best mother I could be. She also stated that having sex with other people might widen my sexual horizons, potentially improving our sex relationship, Liz explained. She appeared to be determined to move forward despite my objections. I tried a couple more counter-arguments, but she had answers for each of them. "Okay, I needed to pick up my game. It's evident that you'll go ahead with it regardless of how I feel about the issue. So, when are you thinking about going on your first date? I asked. I haven't secured a date yet, but Nora and I plan to go out to the clubs tomorrow night, she replied. Okay, but I should let you know up front, any attempt to bring someone back with you will result in terrible consequences, I warned. I would never do that. I suppose we'll go to his place, a motel, or return to Nora's house, she said. I will not sign off on it, and I disagree with everything, but it doesn't matter to you. I will merely not be handling any of the animals during the surgery. And you know what? Perhaps you will return to find that you no longer have a job, I said. What do you mean if I decide to come back? I told you I wasn't going away, just spending 1 or 2 nights away each week. We'll spend the rest of our time together, she countered. No way. I will not allow it. If you do this, you'll have to find another place to reside. I honestly don't care. You can't stay here if you keep screwing other guys, I said. Do not be silly. This is also my house. You cannot just kick me out, she replied. I do actually remember that my parents owned the house. They changed it to my name just before we married. It is mine. Perhaps you should move in with Nora, I said. The air stayed frigid throughout the night and into the morning. She wanted me to sleep in another room, but I informed her I had paid for the bed and would sleep in it, so she had the option of sleeping somewhere else. We didn't talk to each other the next day either. Approximately 8 o'clock, Liz came down the stairs wearing her small black dress, stockings, and garters from the garter belt. Even though it was entirely concealed, I understood she wore 4-inch heels and her hair was up. Her makeup was flawless, and she was wearing her night-out jewelry. She carried a little clutch purse with her. Did you leave anything behind? I asked. No, I think I'm fine, she said. I have my phone, wallet, and ID. What about bags, clothing, makeup, and personal hygiene items? I asked. I'm just going out for the night. Why, so you plan to lock me out? She replied. I will be back by morning, she added. No, you will not. As soon as you depart, I will change the locks. I have already told you, you won't be able to stay here if you continue like this, I said. Stop acting ridiculous. I know you love me enough to let go, she said. Okay, this is your life. If you want to go, then go, but after that you're not returning, I replied. Right when she was going to respond, a car horn sounded in the driveway. That's Nora. I have to leave for now, but we can discuss later when I return, she said. Without her knowing, while she was in the bathroom getting ready, I took her phone and installed a couple of apps. This would allow me to monitor her position, read her texts, record her calls, and even control her phone's microphone and camera remotely. I paused for a bit before turning on the microphone shortly after she had left the house. I would overhear her talk with Nora while driving. I could listen to it later. I had some things to do. The first thing I had to do was replace the old door lock with the new one I had bought earlier that day. Then, I moved her car back outside the garage, reset the garage door opener, and took away her remote control. Finally, I needed to store her clothes, personal goods, and cosmetics into the boxes I had gathered. 2 hours later, she had packed her belongings into her car. She hesitated, replaying her exchange with Nora in her head. He's pissed, Liz said. I did warn you. After all, he'll probably be angry for a week or two, but he'll get over it. Just make sure you maintain working hard and making a good impression on him throughout the coming days. When you perform a good job, he will notice and begin to appreciate you. Men are like dogs. Most things can be forgiven if they receive a reward for their trouble. A little positive reinforcement can help you get your way, Nora replied. Yeah, I hope the person you've paired me with doesn't make me too fatigued to spend meaningful time with Tim tomorrow night, Liz said. Make sure you have a long, hot bath tomorrow. That should help alleviate some of the agony. Please remove your underpants and leave them in your vehicle. You won't need them tonight, Nora said. I'd need to be wearing underpants to take them off, you little rascal, Liz replied. It takes one to know one, Nora said. They both chuckled and found humor in the situation. I need to inform you about Nora. She was 5 feet 4 inches tall, had beautiful red hair down to her lower back, emerald eyes, an angelic face, and a great shape that demonstrated her dedication to fitness. She was in her mid-20s and had been married 4 times. Every one of them included cheating. Who gets divorced 4 times before turning 30? She had been after me several times, in case you're wondering. She wasn't embarrassed about it. She also frequently suggested poor ideas to Liz. Her recommendations often involved their going on an excursion together. So far, I'd managed to avoid that bullet. I watched them for a bit until they arrived at the club. There was a lot of noise inside, so I couldn't hear much talk after that. I paid attention to her GPS location while doing some online banking, withdrawing half of our joint funds, checking, paying off, and canceling the credit cards we shared, and transferring all of our savings to a separate offshore account I had already set up. I even managed to transfer around 70% of our investment assets to an account in my name alone. I saw Liz's phone's GPS finder moving again, so 15 I turned the microphone back on. Liz was talking to someone, and a man responded to her. "My phone is ringing. Just a second," she said, followed by rustling. "Hello, Nora. What's happening?" "Hey girl, you go out with that cute man you were dancing with?" Nora asked. "Yeah, we're going to your house to spend some alone time. I hope you won't mind if I borrow your guest room for an hour or two," Liz replied. "Okay, cool. Thank you, babe. I should be there shortly with a friend to have some fun, I suppose. I'll need to take a shower after that before I head home. I believe I had put some shampoo and body wash in the guest bathroom for you," Nora said. I nodded. "Sure, thanks." Later, I wanted to hurry, so I turned on her camera to see who she had arrived with. I only got a fleeting peek before she pocketed her phone. He did not appear to be particularly special. As he sat, I estimated that he was in his late 30s, had thinning black hair, and was significantly shorter than me. I turned everything off while they were on their way. When I saw them get close to Nora's house, I turned the microphone and camera back on. I listened until I heard them move away from the telephone. It was ludicrous. I needed her to be near her phone so I could record audio evidence of her adultery. Having video evidence appeared to be an unreasonable request. "Shoot, unknown man, how can I help you?" "I understand that is my husband's ringtone." "What? Never mind, sorry, I can't. I will just tell him to try again later," Liz said. "Hello, sweetheart, what's up?" "Me? Where are you, Liz?" I asked. "I'm at Nora's. We're simply hanging out for a bit, then she'll take me home. I'll be back in a few hours." "We've just started a movie," she lied. "I am fine, do not worry. I will be home in a few hours." "It's fine with me," I said. "Nancy, you must have been because she was inebriated. She didn't notice that when we terminated the call I didn't call her any pet names or tell her I loved her. She also didn't notice I didn't even say goodbye, for Christ's sake. By some miracle, she strolled into the bedroom with her phone, most likely still chatting with me. She placed it on the nightstand next to a lamp and managed to point it mostly at the bed. I wasn't sure if the video evidence would hold up in court, but that wasn't my concern at the time. I watched enough film to determine that they were near enough together. I then minimized the screen and set it to record. If she's going to socialize, I don't see why I have to sit at home and wait for her to return. You know what they say, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. She is being ridiculous. I'm going to go meet people myself. I'm going to make sure she knows about it as well. I spent the rest of my weekend performing domestic chores and working on my classic truck restoration. A few years ago, I received a wonderful deal on a 1972 GMC pickup, which has been a project of mine for a while. I restored the 350 high-performance motor, upgraded the 3-speed manual transmission to a Borg-Warner Super T10, 4-speed manual, and installed a 12-volt PY traction rear differential, leather bucket seats, and a matte black paint job. The final stage was to connect the freshly fitted engine to the fuel system, radiator, and vacuum connections using steel-braided lines. This week, work was actually a good diversion. Better yet, you won't have to worry about Liz in the evenings. I got the truck back up and running, and was able to take it to a lawyer to begin divorce proceedings. It appeared that we would share everything 50-50, but the Canadian legal system is not known for treating males fairly when it comes to splitting assets in a divorce. Adultery, it appeared, was a ticket to a paycheck loyal husbands had to fork out to adulterous wives, and there was only so much you could defend yourself from. Friday evening had arrived, and I had cleaned up and prepared my truck for the night. I took a shower, shaved, and applied cologne before dressing in excellent new pants, a black dress shirt, and my rattlesnake skin cowboy boots. I treated myself to a dinner at an exclusive steakhouse. I won't bore you with the details, but the T-bone, completely loaded baked potato, vegetables, and house salad were all excellent. I stepped out of the restaurant and looked at Liz's phone. Yeah, they had arrived at the club approximately 30 minutes earlier. It's time to put my strategy into motion. This was going to irritate Liz a little. I grinned and pulled into a parking spot a few cars down from Liz's. She was clearly driving tonight, which made things easier for me because I didn't have to worry about Nora getting left behind or anything. Liz was clearly the driver, judging by the direction they had parked. It was good. I wanted this to go easily and didn't want to have to talk to Liz about it, trying to encourage her to leave with Nora so she didn't have to return for her car the next day. Planning and contingencies were in place. I entered the bar. They were easily spotted. "Nora, I didn't realize you were coming out today," I said, approaching their table with a drink in my hand. I waited to go over until Liz had left to dance with a young man I assumed was in a fraternity. "Timmy, what brought you here?" she inquired, looking concerned. "More than what you were doing," I retorted. "Without Liz present, I'm simply checking out Club Z and having fun tonight. Let's have a dance, okay? I should probably tell you that Liz is with me." What's preventing you from dancing with me right now? Besides, if she isn't in the chair, she must be in the restroom or out dancing. Yay, I'd love to dance with you, she said, beaming. We'd been dancing for 3 songs when the tempo dropped for a slow one. As the music began to grind away, I took advantage of the chance and pulled her close. Liz noticed me right then, and her demeanor changed from shocked to scared, believing I had seen her. She excused herself from the dance floor and returned to their table. Now she was staring at me, not even trying to hide her irritation. Sweetie, you have no idea, I thought to myself. Nora had grinded against me as we danced to some of the music. She was dope. I enjoyed this gal. It was only a matter of time before I acted. She quickly realized what was going on as she looked up at me, smiled, and moved closer. She moved away, and I could see the contour of her figure through her see-through garment. She was wearing very little underneath. I turned to Liz and delicately touched Nora. She wasn't wearing anything else, but what I saw after the song was finished, I walked Nora back to her table. She invited me to sit with them, and I gladly accepted. On the way back, I motioned to a server for a refill. I instructed her to add all 3 beers to my tab. Timothy, what are you doing here? Liz inquired, glancing over. What do you mean? I'm doing the same thing as you. I'm out here drinking, dancing, and having a fantastic time. Is this not allowed? I replied. Who are you kidding? You were only here to ruin my night, she replied. Not really, Liz. I had no idea you'd be here because we hadn't spoken since you moved away. How was I to know? I heard about this establishment from coworkers and decided to visit for a fun night. It's fine for you, but not for me, I said, returning my focus to Nora. I resumed our chat. Liz sat there steaming, not looking much more appealing than she had before. I pretended not to notice. She was clearly attempting to make me envious. I could tell by her going out onto the dance floor and dancing with various guys. I laughed to myself as I watched her and talked with Nora. When I noticed a guy approaching to ask her to dance, I made sure to ask her first. After a few of them, everyone knew we were together. A few hours later, I spotted an opportunity. Liz was dancing, and Nora was in a great mood. She smiled and waved as I approached her. As I approached, it became clear that she wasn't wearing much. She stretched out and stroked her palm across the front of my jeans. Is your place closer? I whispered, breathing into her ear. Liz should be here shortly, she said. Does that matter? I assumed she'd have her own room. I spoke as I kissed the back of her neck. God, I hope not, she responded. She had the keys and was driving. She can find her way back. Let's go. I kept her turned on and returned her to her apartment, stroking her calf tenderly. She took off her dress as soon as we walked in the door. She took my hand and led me to her bedroom. Intimacy was confirmed, which was fantastic. She's quite good at it. I had just taken appropriate safety precautions. I usually do, come on, you are aware of this. And was in the middle of her when I heard the front door open and close. Nora wasn't paying attention, thank goodness. Also, for the record, Nora is a screamer. Also, Liz's room is adjacent to Nora's. Good thing I was ready. It was a memorable night for a variety of reasons. Liz was unsure about some aspects, but we both got into it eventually. We eventually passed out from tiredness. It's early in the morning. I wake up to a surprise downstairs and enjoy a pleasant moment. Also, despite our open discussions about Nora's colorful background, I'm not going to mention returning some favors. You may be wondering about my ethics, but I believe in mutual enjoyment and sharing of love. However, safety and health are the most important concerns, which is why I urge the use of protective equipment. Breakfast was awkward, to say the least. Liz had probably been attempting to sleep in. She was in the kitchen when we got out. Coffee? Liz asked as I entered the kitchen. That's okay. I can go and get it, I said. I noticed a tiny smile on her face as she inquired. I grabbed a clean mug from the shelf and stood near the Keurig as it brewed. Who knows what she would have put in it if I'd let her fetch it for me. She spoke little else after that. She went to speak with Nora, and so did I. Liz had realized we were absent after all, and she knew what was going on. She anticipated me taking Nora back to my place and was upset when she saw my truck at the apartment complex. Apparently, she had given her date nasty looks during breakfast, and he had quickly left. I didn't stick around for long. I am quite determined, and when I set my mind to something, I do not give up. I knew Liz worked with a lot of attractive single women. I'd met a couple of them at her work functions and our personal gatherings, and I had their contact information. I started texting a couple of them and asking them out, and the majority accepted to go on a date with me. A few hesitated since I was still legally married, but Liz told them so much about us and our current circumstances at work that I was able to persuade them. I noticed an increase in tension between Liz and Nora at work, as well as Liz and a few other single women who worked there. That's correct. I began to hang out with Liz's acquaintances and coworkers. I'd invite them over for dinner or take them to fancy restaurants in the opera or anything. I made sure I was in the same areas as her pals when they were together. I was making extensive use of the GPS tracker and audio footage on her phone. I also found out that a couple of coworkers I believed I was seeing were talking about going on trips and having fun with the real Liz. Liz was still going out and returning back with pals, bickering with Nora. I was having a great time going out, dining at fancy restaurants, dancing and sleeping with random men. I also appreciated hearing the original Liz. Everyone is out, Liz stated. This was not what was supposed to happen. Nora asked, "What do you mean, Liz?" "He was supposed to wait for me until I completed my final year. He was meant to meet me, and we would start our lives together, not cheat on me," Liz said. Nora replied, "Yeah, I didn't expect this either." "So what are you planning to do, Liz?" "To be honest, I've had a good time, but no one beats Timothy in terms of making me feel good. Also, our anniversary is approaching, and we've decided to start trying for a baby that night," Liz said. Nora responded, "Yes, he has a way with ladies, Liz. And you, what were you doing bringing him over and lying to me and my husband all night, only to backstab me the next morning?" Nora said, "Hey buddy, relax. Geez, you know I've had feelings for him for years. What did you expect to happen when he made a pass at me? He really pulled out all the stops and pushed all my buttons. I couldn't help myself," Liz admitted, "but he is married. You may have given some respect to your best friend." Nora replied, Okay, sorry. Look, he has not called me back. I don't think we'll get back together. And don't be furious at me for providing you with this information. He has been hitting on half of our friends and coworkers," Liz said. "I can't believe those backstabbers are doing this to me. I can't wait to receive what is coming to me." Nora asked, "You're heading back to him now, Liz?" "Yeah, I'll phone him later and let him know I'm ready to return and begin trying to start a family," Liz replied. I smiled while watching their interactions. She had no idea what was coming. It was time to phone the lawyer and give her last instructions. Our anniversary was a little over a week away. I needed to get everything in place for the big day. Liz called back later that day, wanting to come home, and I declined. If I did, I'd be constantly going back and forth with her. I explained my meetups and pointed out that she had no idea when she was working. I told her about some of the main upgrades to our house, wanting to surprise her when she arrived home with them all completed. I wished to have the house done and looking flawless by the time she got home. She had prepared a gift for our anniversary. I may have dropped a few hints, leading her to believe wrongly that one of the rooms was being converted into a nursery. I did not say it was, so what did she want me to do? I convinced her to wait until our anniversary for her surprise. I promised her it would be a good one. Everything was prepared and ready to go. It was 6 o'clock in the evening. It was a Saturday evening, and my 2-month plan to surprise Liz with a massive pool party, replete with an actual new pool in the backyard, was well underway. She couldn't believe her eyes as she strolled into the backyard. There were a lot of our friends and family, plus some. The doorbell rang. I'd instructed Liz to come here at 6 o'clock in the evening. I know it was frighteningly predictable, but anyone driving past the house would have noticed something was wrong quite fast, so she was still caught off guard as she walked through the front door. "All right, everybody. The guest of honor has arrived," I called out. "Timothy, what's going on?" "I kind of assumed we were going out to dinner today," she said. "No," I said. "Today is a momentous day, and I wanted our family and friends to be present to see it." "All right, hon. It's just that I find this quite surprising." "I didn't expect anything like that," she replied. "Just store your suitcases here for now. We'll get to them later. You arrived just in time for supper. Come on in. You can go to the front of the line with me because you are the guest of honor," I said. Liz quickly settled in and became comfortable. We were trying not to talk about the past 2 months. Dinner was a huge success. We enjoyed a feast and lots of laughs. When we finished eating and cleaned up, I turned on the backyard lights and showed Liz the pool and other improvements I'd made to the house. I hadn't shown her upstairs yet. She had been indicating quietly that she wanted to see the renovations I had completed. I was still under the impression that I had converted one of the spare rooms into a nursery. "Everyone, could we please have your attention over here for a second? I have a few announcements to make on this very momentous occasion," I shouted urgently to get everyone to stop talking and listen. As people drew closer, the music stopped, and all conversation came to an end. "All right, thank you for attending. I have a few announcements to make. First and foremost, Liz, please come over here next to me." She moved closer. "First and foremost, I'd like to note that yesterday was my last day of work. The only person who knows is my former supervisor, whom I informed a month ago when I gave my notice. I'm launching my own consulting firm so that I can spend more time with my family." Liz's face burst out in a wide smile when I said family. As you are probably aware, Liz and I are celebrating our 5-year anniversary today. What you may not be aware of is that we have been discussing creating a family for quite some time, and we have decided that today is the day we will begin trying. So, I'd like to give Liz a present for her anniversary. It's something quite special. I shifted to the side, motioning for her to come forward. Marianne Garner, you have been served, the woman spoke. It seems like a lot of you don't know, I explained. Liz told me 2 months ago that she wanted to date other men. She didn't really ask whether that was okay or provide any feedback at all. She just said what she planned to accomplish and left it at that. I believe she moved in with her pal about 2 months ago. Liz yelled, "Yes, I am divorcing you so you can be with whoever you want. Believe me, it will not be me." Of course, I told Liz about my house's upgrades. You've all seen the new pool being built, and there have been modifications on the basement floor. The master bedroom was painted, and a new shower and jacuzzi tub were installed in the master bathroom. I also removed the wall separating 2 of the smaller bedrooms and combined them into one huge bedroom with an ensuite bathroom. There was a cause for it. As I was telling them this, a woman with red hair and a girl with red hair, who I assumed was approximately 10, approached me. "I would like you to meet my lawyer, Clara Donovan, and her daughter, Ellie. Clara is also a single mother, and I've been seeing her for the past 2 months. We aren't officially dating yet, but we both believe there's something special there. Ellie and I appear to get along nicely. We intend to be together after the divorce is finalized and Clara no longer represents me legally. Her lease is up around that time and Clara and Ellie will be moving in with me." I turned back to Liz. "So Liz, you can bring your baggage out to your car. You are not going back in. I told you you wouldn't be able to do whatever you wanted and ignore our marital problems." Liz was crying. Her relatives yelled. Several of her house departed. My family was shocked. Clara and Ellie discreetly went upstairs out of sight. They had agreed when I asked them beforehand. Truth be told, I hadn't slept with Clara. We'd gone out to dinner, and I had spent a few nights at their apartment, but we decided not to go there until my divorce was finalized. She ended her marriage after her husband cheated on her 5 years ago. She had gone on a few dates since, but had never felt particularly drawn to anyone. Finally, everyone left. I had no idea where Liz had gone. I turned off the spying program earlier that day. I had put this in so I could keep an eye on her. I was no longer as interested in observing her. Should I have handled it differently? Yes. Should I have pulled Clara, especially Ellie, into this? I agree. Probably not. Why did I do that? I was angry. Liz's behavior made me quite upset, and I wanted to show her how she had ruined our marriage. I wanted her to know that I had not stopped loving her on my own. She did that to me. I wanted her to experience the misery she had caused me. I might have gone to her workplace to confront her or just mailed copies of the material to all of the households. I could have done a lot of things that were far more mature and less harmful, but I did not. I thought the new neighbors were shady, and I was leery of Robert's sudden friendship with them. She wasn't sure what he saw in the pair next door. Ida wasn't unfriendly. On the contrary, she felt herself to be rather outgoing and had developed positive relationships with the girls in the grocery store's deli and the children's librarian at the St. Rhea Public Library. But there was something off about them that Ida immediately distrusted. Perhaps it was the fact that they never went out during the day and seemed to appear out of nowhere. When she asked where they had gone, she expressed her concerns to Adela, who simply laughed and said she was being crazy. So Ida kept her mouth quiet, assuming such was the case. Meanwhile, Robert paid a visit to his neighbor. Liz did move back in with Nora, but only for approximately 2 weeks before they had a major falling out. She acquired her own tiny apartment and is still living there. I see her around town occasionally. She frequently scowls at me, or appears unhappy, depending on her mood. We do not make small talk. A common buddy whom I occasionally see told me she left the company and found another position. It was too awkward to see several of her ex-boyfriends every day. I occasionally see her family when Clara, Ellie, and I go out to eat. I don't talk to them, and they give me dirty looks, but I try to be a better person. Liz attempted to dispute Clara and Ellie's divorce but eventually gave up. She wanted everything to be over quickly. Clara even let me put pressure on Liz by reaching out to her co-workers. Liz agreed to sign the documents after seeing favorable results from some of my previous interactions with her co-workers. On the same day the divorce papers arrived, Clara and Ellie moved in. 1 year later, Clara and I got married. On our wedding night, she had demonstrated a significant act of trust. She reiterated her trust and dedication to the relationship, encouraging me to remember it whenever I felt like giving up. Less than a year later, Liz approached Clara, Ellie, and myself at a street fair after noticing Clara's pregnant belly. She turned and fled away. To summarize, a word of caution to anyone considering cheating: you cannot have it both ways. You are welcome to tell your partner that you want to have sex with one more person to get it out of your system before settling into family life. They may opt to do the same and look for someone more compatible. 1 year after the dramatic pool party where Tim served Liz with divorce papers, life had settled into a new rhythm. The house, once a battleground of emotional turmoil, now buzzed with warmth and laughter. Clara and Ellie had fully integrated into Tim's world, transforming the space into a home that radiated hope and second chances. The pool in the backyard, a symbol of Tim's audacious revenge, was now a place for Ellie's weekend swim sessions and Clara's quiet evening dips. Yet beneath the surface of this newfound domestic bliss, Tim carried a lingering unease, a mix of guilt over his past actions and a nagging fear that his wounds from Liz's betrayal might never fully heal. Tim's consulting firm had taken off faster than he'd anticipated. Quitting his job had been a gamble, but his reputation in IT and his relentless work ethic paid dividends. He worked from a sleek home office, a converted spare room upstairs, where he could hear Ellie practicing her violin or Clara humming while cooking dinner. The business allowed him flexibility, which he cherished. He could drop Ellie off at school or join Clara for a midday coffee when projects were light. This freedom was a stark contrast to the rigid schedule of his old life with Liz, where every moment felt like a negotiation. Clara, with her sharp legal mind and quiet strength, was a grounding force. She'd seen her own share of betrayal in her previous marriage, which gave her an intuitive understanding of Tim's guarded heart. They'd agreed to take things slowly, letting their relationship grow organically after the divorce was finalized. Their wedding, a small affair with close friends and family, had been a celebration of trust, something Tim hadn't realized he'd lost until Clara helped him rebuild it. Ellie, now 11, was a bright spark in their lives. She'd taken to Tim immediately, calling him T and roping him into her science fair projects or late-night board game marathons. But the past wasn't entirely behind them. Liz's presence lingered like a faint shadow. Tim occasionally spotted her in town, at the grocery store, the coffee shop, or driving past in her compact sedan. Her expression was always unreadable, a mix of defiance and sadness. Mutual friends shared snippets of her life. She'd left her accounting job after the awkwardness with coworkers became unbearable, and was now working for a small firm across town. She lived alone in a modest apartment, and rumors swirled that she'd sworn off dating, focusing instead on finding herself. Tim didn't know how to feel about that. Part of him wanted to gloat, but another part, a quieter, more honest one, felt a pang of sorrow for the woman he'd once loved. One crisp autumn afternoon, Tim was at the park with Ellie, watching her race around the playground while he sipped coffee on a bench. Clara was at a legal conference, leaving the two of them to their usual weekend adventures. As Ellie swung from the monkey bars, a familiar figure approached. It was Liz, bundled in a scarf and coat, her blonde hair tucked under a beanie. She hesitated, clearly debating whether to turn back. But Tim caught her eye and gave a small nod. She walked over, her steps cautious. "Tim," she said, her voice softer than he remembered. "I didn't expect to see you here." "Ellie loves this place," he replied, keeping his tone neutral. "What about you? Just passing through?" She shrugged, glancing at Ellie. "I walk here sometimes. Clears my head." There was a pause, heavy with unspoken history. "She's a sweet kid. You're good with her." Tim nodded, unsure where this was going. "She's easy to love." Liz looked down, fidgeting with her scarf. "I owe you an apology. Not just for everything, but for how I handled it. I was selfish. I thought I could have it all, freedom, you, a family. I was wrong." Tim's jaw tightened. He'd imagined this moment, rehearsed cutting replies in his head, but now that it was here, he felt oddly empty. "Why now, Liz? It's been over a year." "I've been talking to a therapist," she admitted, "trying to figure out why I blew up our life. I think I was scared. Of settling down, of losing myself in motherhood." Nora's ideas sounded like a way to hold on to some control, but they were poison. "I hurt you, and I'm sorry." He studied her, searching for the woman who'd once laughed with him over late-night pizza, or planned their future with starry-eyed enthusiasm. She was still there, but dimmed, like a light bulb flickering out. "I appreciate that," he said finally. "But apologies don't erase the past. I've moved on. I had to." "I know." Her eyes glistened, but she blinked back tears. "I saw Clara at the street fair. She's pregnant, isn't she?" Tim nodded. "Due in 4 months. A boy." Liz forced a smile. "That's wonderful. Really." She took a shaky breath. "I won't keep you. I needed to say it. Take care, Tim." She turned and walked away, her figure shrinking into the autumn haze. Tim watched until she was gone, his coffee cold in his hand. Ellie ran over, breathless. "Who was that, T?" "Just someone I used to know," he said, ruffling her hair. "Ready for ice cream?" That evening, Tim told Clara about the encounter. They sat on the couch, her head resting on his shoulder, the house quiet except for the hum of the dishwasher. How do you feel about it? Clara asked, her voice gentle. Conflicted, he admitted. I wanted to hate her forever, but seeing her today… She's broken, Clara. I don't think she meant to destroy us. She just didn't know how to stop herself. Clara squeezed his hand. You're allowed to feel sorry for her. It doesn't mean you forgive her or want her back. It just means you're human. He kissed her forehead, grateful for her clarity. I don't regret the divorce, but I regret how I handled it. The spectacle, dragging you and Ellie into it. I was so angry I wanted to hurt her as much as she hurt me. We've talked about this, Clara said. Ellie and I were okay with it. We knew you were hurting. And honestly, that night pushed Liz to face reality. She might not have signed those papers so fast without it. Tim chuckled dryly. You're too practical for your own good. It's why you love me, she teased, then grew serious. You're not that guy anymore, Tim. You've grown. We're building something real here. Focus on that. She was right. The next few months were a blur of preparation. Tim and Clara decorated a nursery, painted in soft blues with a mural of stars Ellie helped design. When their son Liam was born, Tim felt a joy so profound it eclipsed the pain of his past. Holding his son, he realized Liz's betrayal had been a detour, not a destination. It had led him here, to a family he hadn't dared dream of. Liz faded further into the background. Tim heard she'd moved to a nearby city, chasing a fresh start. He wished her well, silently, and let her go. His life was full, messy, imperfect, but full. And as he watched Ellie teach Liam to giggle, Clara smiling beside him, he knew he'd found his true home.